Right, so someone commented under one of my videos recently that they were about to get the ALF in a couple of days or something like that. And so would I be able to provide an update of what's going on now? So this is, I would say, about 6 weeks after getting the ALF appliance fitted. There was like, I had to initially get my fixed retainers off and then get the mould done. And the mould was like a couple of days afterwards, which is my own fault because I didn't have the money together for it. But in that time, essentially what happened is my front two teeth moved very, very quickly. So this one came right out. And so I had basically a 2-day gap before getting the actual fitting done, before getting the mould done, sorry, and getting the fixed retainers off. So I take the fixed retainers off after 5 or so years, because I had braces and stuff. Actually, I'm realising it's now about 5 or 6 years or so. The fixed retainers off the braces, which basically align my jaw in the wrong way and all that stuff. But I guess at least my teeth were straight. That's one positive. So anyway, they took that off a couple of days later to get the mould done. So then 3 weeks later or so, when it arrives and I get it put in, which is now 6 weeks ago, in that time my teeth hadn't really shifted any more than they had done after the mould. It was kind of just like after the first initial couple of days, even after 1 day, in fact, I noticed that teeth had moved. So I was obviously quite panicked about that. And then they put them in, but because they were, as the mould was, it got even worse. The teeth got even further apart. So I very quickly went back. I was like, look, guys, like, can you please like sort this out? Because I've been to a dentist close by. You know, I actually work for a medical company, so I was like, I asked the dentist there, I was like, can you just give me some advice? And they said, look, I can't really do anything. You need to go to your current dentist. So I went to these guys and I was like, look, please, can you sort this out? Because my teeth have moved so much. And this is, again, it's like after all the braces, which is, you know, that was obviously a huge expense. And I was a teenager at the time, so my parents helped with that. But anyway, so this is what the ALF is. So look, it's a wire. I've got top and bottom teeth. All right. So I believe, yeah, that's the top one. I don't know if you can see on this, but that little bit there, you see how that's slightly to one side. On the bottom one, it's, at least for me, I don't know what it'd be for everyone else, but this one's more in the middle, so I can tell them apart. So this one goes on the bottom like this, and it clips in nicely. You see that? And then this one goes on top. Now, you need to make sure it clips in. For the first few days, I wasn't clipping it in properly, and it wasn't doing much. But then when I did clip in properly, I started to notice that when I woke up in the morning, and that's in conjunction with, I should be very clear here, that's in conjunction with trying to separate the top and bottom jaw. I'll go more into that in a sec. But yeah, so what you'll notice on this one is that they're meant to be symmetrical, right? But this one, because of I was worried about my teeth, they actually changed one side. How do I show this? So you see that there. Right now, if I do it like this, you'll notice one side is up and one side down. That's because on this was the side here that the tooth was coming out, so they basically just kind of moved it lower, so that it wouldn't be pressing this tooth as much. And thankfully, it was honestly pretty quickly. My teeth kind of moved back, so this one wasn't being pressed as much to come forward. So this one's kind of come more out, and this one's not having as much pressure, so it's able to. I honestly don't know, but it's definitely improved. And I'm pretty sure I actually did a video showing that my teeth had moved after a couple of days anyway, so you can see that. That's when I was quite panicked. Anyway, so yeah, make sure you clip this in. And the other thing I should mention is because it's lower on one side, it then interferes with my tongue. So when I wear it, I get a lisp. When it's symmetrical, I don't get a lisp. Well, I mean, I'll get a slight lisp, but nothing like I will when I've got it in. But you do get used to it. But hopefully that shouldn't happen to you, because you'll get the mold done and after getting your fixed trains off, or unrelated to all that stuff. So hopefully you shouldn't have that problem. Now, I can leave the bottom one in for the time being, but yeah, things I should mention. As I said, like, noticed after making sure I was clipping it in properly, because like you put it up and you think it's clipped in, but then it would be coming out. So make sure it's actually clipping in really tight. I will say, while I'm saying that, I'm never ever able to get this side to clip in properly, only the right side, which is obviously something I need to get sorted out when I go see them next. I was trying to go today, but the dentist I see, the holistic dentist I see, he works with a like a cranial osteopath, and they work with each other like once every 4 weeks, like for 1 week every 4 weeks or something like that. And so I missed the boat recently, so I've got to wait another 2 weeks or so before I can get that adjusted, because at this point, because it's been 6 weeks, it's not pressing as much, so I don't feel the impact nearly as much as I did at the start. Because what would happen is I'd wake up and then suddenly I'll be like, wow, I can just like, I can talk and it's really clear. Right now it's not great, but I know that there's a clear distinction from when I was, it would be like pressing at night on all these areas. So then it would also be basically telling the jaw to, separate the top and bottom. And I did say at the start of the video that I would go into that more. So what I mean by that is, if your jaw is really tight, if you clench so much here, it's naturally going to impede your sound. So when you're speaking or you're singing, you're going to get what is happening here. Like it's all throaty, it's all like tight and everything. And obviously you don't want that. This channel is primarily about singing health and my health journey to try and improve all this stuff. And the ALF is the thing that I would say has made the biggest difference. And I don't know if that's something I would have been able to achieve without the ALF. So I'm not saying just go get one, because it's very expensive, first of all, and like might not be worth it for you. I'm past that stage already, so I did it. I arranged that because I've tried so many other things prior to that. I've had 2 surgeries on my nose and tongue surgery and all these different diets. I've spent like just basically all my money and time and energy on trying to sort this stuff out, and as you can see, it's still not great. But the ALF has definitely made the biggest difference. I'll tell you why. Because at night, when that jaw separation is happening, it's gradually training this to like stop getting involved, and is kind of activating this whole area here to work. And then what would happen is I'd wake up and suddenly I'd be like, oh wow, I can really speak suddenly. And I wouldn't have that, like, I wouldn't have that ever, but sorry, I say ever. I would very, very occasionally have that when the jaw's completely relaxed. But it's because my body's always in such a state of fight or flight. I'm getting treatment for that now with a chiropractor here in Sydney who does what's called network spinal, which is where they basically teach your nervous system to shut right down, and then they'll like adjust you and stuff. And I found that good. I'm going again tomorrow. I've definitely found that good. But yeah, in terms of the actual jaw, I learned something yesterday which I think's pretty valuable to know. So, and this is not something that I ever really either didn't take in properly or didn't know about, but my whole life I basically talked with this, right? This is so tight here, so I'd talk like this, like that, and I'd obviously like eat and everything, and laugh or whatever. I'd do that all, using this. But I came across a video by a somatic healer or what was it? It's something like Fredrickson or something like that. It's someone who practices, trying to sort the nervous system out. And she was saying that, well, with the jaw, you need to basically recalibrate this whole mechanism. So loads of people will do this like that, which is really, really bad, because it's bringing all this extra stuff, because your jaw should basically only do this. Its only motion is that, and it should actually be all from like up here, the stuff up here, right? Using this is incorrect. So she would basically say this, look, do this first. There's 2 ways, because there's 2 ways you can open your jaw. That's what she'd say. 2 ways. You can either do this, right, the wrong way, or you can do this, keeping this exactly still and moving your head back. right? Now, obviously, when you're talking and stuff, you can't move your head back to talk and stuff and to sing. I mean, some opera singers would, have their head right back, but, you get the point. You can't obviously do that the whole time. So she was saying, well, practice both and then try and join them together. So instead of this, you want to do the same at the same time. So this. And when you do that, you'll feel the biggest separation that your jaw can make. And what you want is that sensation right at the top. That's basically where you want to be projecting your sound into, not for singing as just singing, but speaking as well. It's like, if you do that, I feel a real expansion there. And then if I was to just do that a few times, look. And now I go to speak. I don't know if you can even tell this, but it feels even just that slight bit richer, maybe 15-20%. It's not much, but if you were to do that for maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, you might, I can't promise this, but you might notice quite a big difference in the resonance, especially if you're like me and you've got a really, really tight jaw and you're tense all over. You might have seen in the previous video that I did, at the end of it, I showed a diagram of my body and the areas of tension. There's 4 places in my spine, and then several of the other bits of musculature in the back, which is just like so tight. And like the chiropractor will be like touching just like on the side here, or even just like here, or past the neck, and I'll be just like, like that, and he's like, look, you've been holding this tension for years, like, and I'm only 25, but for example, when I was 15, I say 15, when I was 16, I had I fractured my shoulder, and then when I was in a sporting injury, and then that's ever since then my right shoulder's hung low on my left, and then my neck compensates and all that stuff, and my body's always like in a fight or flight response, either as a result of that or a car accident that I had where I had like some minor whiplash. And again, at the time, you get over these things and you move on, but those things stay in the body. So something that I've definitely learned on this journey is that those things stay, and you have to, it's not just a case of doing a tongue surgery or doing I did Atlas orthogonal treatment. I'll tell you about that in a sec. It's like, it's not just a case of doing those things. You actually need to retrain your body to not be stressed. Like I'm always like that. And so many times I have to catch myself and go like, okay, actually, I don't need to hold that at all. I can just relax that. Another thing is, if you do this, you'll notice that I'm actually I'm just holding my breath, and which doesn't need all this extra stuff, but I'm going, and then I'm like, all this stuff's tight, but I don't need that. So if you can do things like this, and then you can still take the breath and hold it, but you just don't need this extra stuff. And it's like all this stuff is totally related. So let me just quickly tell you about the Atlas orthogonal. I'll probably leave it there. So I went up to Newcastle. I live in Sydney, but I went up to Newcastle 3 times for this Atlas orthogonal treatment. The first time you go and you do this, they do the X-ray and everything. They tell you about the device, whatever. The next time you go, they actually do the first treatment, and it might be different places. It's just the way that these guys do it. And then this Atlas orthogonal provides this zap, right? Or this just kind of this electric pulse zap. And anyway, so my C1, your Atlas, it was tilted to the right with my C2 twisted to the left. That might be why I've got the jugular vein compression. That's a whole other story. I got an MRI down in Canberra recently. What am I saying? And so the lady, the chiropractor there, she used the Atlas orthogonal to adjust that. And the next time I went, I hadn't really noticed any change. So I went again the next day for the second adjustment, and for another to see what the results are and everything. And she didn't even do the second adjustment because she was like, oh, like, I'm like so delighted because these are such good results. Your atlas is now aligned and everything. And I'm going, I don't feel any different. I really don't feel any different. Maybe like after the first one, I felt slight different, maybe slight drain or whatever. But, you know, I've no resolution of symptoms or anything like that. You know, I've got all this tightness and stuff. And you know, I don't feel like I'm straight or anything. And she was basically saying, oh, look, your atlas was, so if your atlas is meant to be like that 90-degree angle, right? And mine was like, kind of like this, like slightly off to the side. So she was like, well, now it's in alignment, which is great because that means your spine, which is forward, will start to correct itself and your bodies can start to work better and nervous system function, all that stuff. And she didn't really give me a timeline as to when that's going to happen. Like, she was saying, well, a lot of people notice an immediate change or whatever, which I haven't. But then I've seen other things which are like, oh, no, you have to wait several weeks, and then you'll notice that, oh, you're actually feeling a lot better. So I'll just have to see about that. But it was obviously quite underwhelming when you go all the way there, which is like not close 3 times in like 4 or 5 days. And just, you know, you pay that money and it's like, well, and the lady's like, oh, you're so much better. Like, well, I don't feel any better. So we'll just have to wait with that one. But yeah, constantly working on the, you know, trying to release all the tension because there's so much of it. And it's, the, you know, the chiropractor here in Sydney was saying, you know, I can't give you a timeline. You know, if I said, you know, come twice a week for 8 weeks, you know, I'll be lying because it's either going to be shorter than that or it's going to be longer than that. You just can't tell. So where does that leave me? Look, I can keep working on the, you know, trying to do that, you know, this stuff, because that does help, you know, and just doing it more and more and more is going to help. When I get the ALF adjusted for this first time, actually, the first time they just put it in and, you know, and stuff, and then I came back a couple of days later and then they adjusted it again because it was messing up my front teeth. Hopefully that's going to help again, because that's like a year and a half commitment, that thing. I also did the prolotherapy recently. Look, I want to do all these things, but it's so expensive. I've spent so much on it, and it's completely out of control. So I have to really be careful with what I'm doing. I want to do another round of prolotherapy because I found that was loosening the tightness in the tongue and everything, and I found that to be beneficial for like 1 or 2 days, and then that kind of dissipates. But you're meant to do it, you know, something like 3 times at least before you start to notice some differences. So I'd be keen to do that. It's just this kind of stuff costs just so freaking much. So I don't know how I'm gonna fit that in. So yeah, the ALF, there's that, the prolotherapy stuff, there's the, you know, trying to release all the tension and tightness, there's the jaw stuff. I'm actually trying to, you know, I was saying how that I saw that YouTube video with the lady saying about this stuff. I'm actually trying to, I emailed her today to ask for a consultation, because she does them over Skype or she does it over Zoom or something, because she's based in Perth and I'm not going to go all the way to Perth for an appointment. I've done enough travelling to different places without having to go to Perth. So, yeah, that's where we're at the minute. I don't know, like, I've definitely come a long way in terms of the thing even to like a few months ago, but it's just so draining, this stuff. Yeah, look, if you're in a similar position, you know, we're in this together, so hang in there. I'll try to give as much advice as I can. If you've got any questions, let me know and I'll do my best to respond. But yeah, look, if you're going to get an ALF, you can just watch the first half of the video. I probably should have mentioned that. I didn't know I was going to go on this whole spiel. But yeah, 6 weeks in, I definitely found the ALF, at least when it's actually pressing. Now it's not really pressing, so I need to get it adjusted. When it's pressing, it definitely was making a difference to my snoring and yeah, as I said, like I could wake up and just speak and sing like straight away. Now, obviously, as I said, less prominent. So hopefully I'll be able to tell you more in a couple of weeks when I get that next adjustment done. But yeah, or that maybe I guess that's the first adjustment after they put it in. But yeah, anyway, it's yeah, like the genuinely the biggest change. Like I sung at my brother's wedding 4 weeks ago, and if it was a couple of weeks before that, before I got the ALF in, I don't think I would have been able to, because my jaw wasn't, wanting to even consider separating. So yeah, I definitely very, very grateful for that. So yeah, I would. It's too early for me to recommend, but I can only say what's my experience of it so far, and that's what's been happening. And I'll speak to you all soon. Hopefully that was helpful.